Yeah, I'm kind of a drug addict. I know that sounds weird. I don't do any hard drugs or anything. I mean, sometimes I do party drugs like Molly and whatnot. No, what the drug I'm talking about, it might not sound like a big deal, but to somebody who's kind of bipolar like I am, it actually is a big deal. It's caffeine. A lot of people, coffee and stimulants are so normalized in our culture that it just sounds like, whatever. But especially if you use it in a certain way, it can absolutely become like a drug. And for me, I go through withdrawal and I go through withdrawal symptoms from caffeine all the time. And I do it on purpose. I know that sounds freaking crazy. Uh, but for me personally, I kind of actually use coffee to get into like an extra manic state. And I try to stay off of it to be in sort of a more extra depressive state. And I understand how freaking insane that sounds. But for the rest of you guys, or for a lot of you guys who are creatives yourself, I think you can kind of relate to this where when you're in a really dark place, that's where you actually find a lot of good psychological insights. And then when you're in a really high place, that's the time where you can actually take a lot of action. And, it's kind of really difficult because, like, for me, I don't really like doing that, but in a way, it's my way of chasing greatness. And I'm going to be talking about this in my upcoming book, but I think a well-balanced life, not just well-balanced, but a meaningful life, is a mix between chasing greatness and chasing wellness. So what is wellness? Well, wellness is more sort of the self-preservative instinct. It's kind of living more in the moment and not living in the future, not making sacrifices in the present for the future. You're just living in the moment, right? And so I kind of associate that a little bit more with the feminine instinct. If you see most women and how they behave, if they're looking to the future, they tend to look to the future a bit more with worry, right? Because they're afraid that the comfort or security that they have might be in danger, right? Or if they're looking forward to the future, that they'll get more of those things. With men, on the other hand, more that masculine instinct, it's more about you're willing to sacrifice a lot of stuff in the present for an uncertain greatness in the future. So much so that you're even willing to sacrifice yourself, sometimes your own life, for an idea. This is why men are the ones that go to war, right? I'm massively generalizing, of course. But I'm sure you know what I mean. And so for me, when I abuse this drug, which is caffeine, and yes, it is a drug, I'm doing it with greatness in mind for the future. Today, I don't feel very good. I don't. Today's one of my more depressive days. And it was bad enough where I tried to take caffeine to like make myself feel better. It made me feel a little bit better, but then the crash made it feel even worse. And I feel terrible right now, hence the hoodie. And me just trying to, maybe you could sense it if you're more kind of, dare I say, an empath. But yeah, it's sort of that creative struggle that I personally go through and I'll continue to go through. I came to the beach today wanting to film like 3 different videos and it ended up being 2, which I should be happy about, but the energy is just not there today. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's utility in making yourself miserable sometimes, but you have to be careful and have at least like sort of a good community, a good group of friends or good relationships that help bring you back down to earth. Because especially people and guys who are really drawn to self-improvement, a lot of times they're looking so far into the future that they sacrifice themselves in the present to the point where it becomes detrimental, ironically, to progress again in the future, right? So if you're constantly looking to the future and making all these sacrifices and doing whatever you need for greatness, if you die in the process, well, that ruins all future endeavors, right? So sort of the rational thing to do, the smart thing to do, is to make sure that you also have that wellness aspect, more that feminine aspect. So for me, I made sure today, I was like, I texted my girlfriend, I'm like, I need to see you tonight, right? I need you to help comfort me and, be extra nice to me, et cetera, because I'm on the path of greatness right now. Greatness is not glorious. Well, it is glorious, but it's not as obvious the glory, I should say. So much of it's the struggle, man. And I think every single one of you, even if you seem that you feel like you're, maybe from an outside perspective, it seems like your life is boring or you're not really doing anything noteworthy right now. You yourself, you don't feel it that way, right? You might be working a 9 to 5, or you might be in university or school right now. Life might seem like it's just kind of stagnated, but you're still making this choice all the time of living for the present or living for the future, right? And you have to make sacrifices. So for me, the sacrifice of living for the future for creating something great is putting myself in these depressive states when needed, putting myself in a manic state when needed, being addicted to a drug, which is caffeine. If you ever go through caffeine withdrawal, it freaking sucks. It's not like the worst thing in the world, but imagine having to go through that on and off again all the time and doing it deliberately in order for you to create better things. like it can be a crucible sometimes, man. And you know, maybe some people will be like, Kevin, you're being so extra, you're being so unnecessary. You don't need to do that to create. I found for myself that I do. Like some of the greatest creators and writers of all time. Ernest Hemingway comes to mind. Nietzsche comes to mind, obviously. I don't know if Nietzsche was bipolar, but Emerson was bipolar. And he created great things because he would go into the abyss and stay there for like a week, see what he found, and then when he's manic again, he'll write and do amazing things. Nietzsche was stricken with illness all the time, and convalescence, which is the term used for somebody who's recovering from an injury or an illness, was a very key concept in a lot of his philosophy. The entire book, The Gay Science, which is a fantastic read. I haven't covered it too much in this video series so far, but I will in the future, is all about him convalescing and from a bout of illness and talking about how great life is when he's feeling good, right? A very life-affirming way of looking at the world. And so you have to go into the abyss to appreciate where you currently are, right? But also you can't demonize the abyss as well. The abyss is there for a reason. It's not bad. It might seem dark and scary. There's so much valuable things you can find there. And for me, I artificially create that environment by being addicted to caffeine. Because another thing I could do, I could just be addicted to caffeine and just keep taking it every single day. But I purposely make sure that I don't. That I'll take caffeine for like 4 or 5 days in a row, and then I won't do anything for like 2 days, and I have a headache and I just feel like crap. But that's a lot of times where I have my best insights. I just want to share a bit of my creative process, I guess I could say. Where I kind of purposely sometimes put myself through hell for the sake of the future. I don't know if there's a moral to this. Just want to let you guys know a little bit more about myself. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at Beyond Self Improvement. You could always message me about anything there if you're going through something tough in your life or whatever. I don't have that many followers right now, so I can talk to you, no problem. I'd love to get to know my followers better. So go ahead and follow me on there if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching. See you next video. Goodbye.